In the Pits is partnered with the Splat Zone Trinity 3-Man Paintball Series. The series, put on by Splat Zone Indoor Paintball, offers a fun and competitive opportunity for tournament play for players of all experience levels. Beginner, Division 5, and Open 3v3 X-Ball gives all players a chance to gather two friends and have some fun. Are you a beginner interested in playing, but worried your setup won't be competitive? Not to worry, Splat Zone will have several setups on hand for beginner division players if needed. The series is even investing in bringing my personal ref crew from outside the Houston area, guaranteeing that your experience that day will be run smoothly and fairly. Registration is live now for the season opener on Sunday, May 25th, so grab two friends and get signed up today. In the Pits is partnered with BEM Wraps. Behind every mask is a unique and creative player. Tap into it when you order your next custom headpiece. Their Build-A-Band lets you communicate with them one-on-one to make your order just the way you want, all the way down to the color of the stitch. Check out their Instagram at BEMWraps for drops and build videos of them working on orders. They offer very competitive pricing, so reach out today to get started on your own one-of-a-kind headpiece. In the Pits is partnered with 71 Designs. Owned and operated by veteran Wade Martin, and partnered with fellow Texas brand Compete. 71 Designs can take your ideas for soft goods, merchandise, and casual wear and make them a reality. Message 71 Designs on Facebook or Instagram to get started today. In the Pits is partnered with QBR. Are you seeking to heal and recover from the toll that paintball puts on the mind and body? QBR has the solution for you. Head to QBRofficial.com and use code PITS10 for 10% off of your order, plus free shipping. QBR, they don't sell broccoli. In the Pits is partnered with XTPL Events. The Extreme Tournament Paintball League is a series put on by the Lukow family of paintball fit fame that gives the opportunity for players to learn and grow together as a team. 3-man, Challengers and Champions X-Ball, Draft Mech X-Ball, Super 7s, U3v3, even glow-in-the-dark Mech X. There's something for everyone at XTPL. Not to mention prize tosses, raffles, and the infamous paintball munching contest. Events happen throughout the year, and the prizes never disappoint. Sign up for an XTPL event today on PB Leagues. In the Pits is partnered with Hydra. Designed by players for players, you can outfit yourself in Hydra gear from head to toe. Have confidence that when you make a purchase from Hydra, you are purchasing a well-tested and well-thought-out product, trusted by several top teams, including World Cup Pro Champions Paintball Fit. I personally recommend their Hydra Black knee pads. Purchases over $100 receive free shipping. Head to hydra.fit to browse their selection and discover the Hydra mentality. In the Pits is partnered with Texas Pro player Jared Sherman. In a world where saving time means making money, Jared's local seed bank is making waves in Texas, carrying a large assortment of Texas-approved varieties for use in the Texas Hemp Program, seeds for novelty use, as well as premium genetics bred for solventless extraction. Jared Sherman has the ability to satisfy even the most sophisticated collectors. Head to his website and use code INTHEPITS for 10% off of your orders. In the Pits is partnered with Mariachi Aguilas de Oro. Based in Austin and servicing the surrounding areas, these Golden Eagles will bring life to any event you are having, from birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, corporate events, or even a simple performance to enjoy. Guillermo Padilla, one of their trumpet players, is also a member of the Texas paintball scene. Visit them on Facebook and Instagram to check out some of their past performances, or give them a call to book them for your event today. In the Pits is partnered with the San Antonio 3v3 Paintball Series. The series provides local players with an affordable, fun opportunity to experience the excitement of tournament paintball and has already seen events sell out. I personally am the head referee for the series, and I can't wait to see you there. Visit SAT3v3.com for details on upcoming events, or head to PB Leagues to register your team today. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot is a local Texas videographer with numerous events experience filming on the Major League Paintball Pro field. Needing coverage for an upcoming event? Message him at getdat_shot on Instagram and let him know In the Pits sent you. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy to learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1 hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 144 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week, we'll have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and new special guest. I'm Christian Dallas Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans, and this episode, we're going in the pits with Jared Sherman, pro player for San Antonio X Factor. Jared, how are you doing this evening?
Not bad, man. Not bad. How about yourself?
Been good. I can't tell you, just like as you know, as a friend, I can't tell you how long I've been waiting to give you that introduction. Pro player for San Antonio X Factor. It feels so good to see you finally at this point in your journey, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'd be lying if I said I'm grateful to hear somebody saying something like that. It's definitely been a dream come true, especially for anybody that's you know, grown up in the era of Texas paintball that I have. They've been always the big brothers and just beating people up left and right, and so it's an honor to have the opportunity to join the program. So I'm grateful, man. I appreciate that.
For sure. And so I do want to kind of dive into this. So this first question is brought to us by XTPL Events. So you were last on the show February 8th of 2023 on episode 34. So about a year and 3 months ago. Or sorry, 2 years and 3 months ago. So since then, during that episode, you had just won the pro spot with Austin Notorious at the 2022 World Cup, and you were getting ready for your first pro event at the Sunshine Open. So how have things been for you since then?
Wow. They have been up and down, climbing mountains, going down hills. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. It's been a lot of lessons both in paintball and in life. There's a lot more to see when you get to the top, and then you realize it's nowhere close to the top. There's that saying of it takes 10,000 hours to master something, and in paintball, I was told that it takes another 10,000 hours to stay a master, or in this case, stay pro, and that is damn near true. You know, but it's been a good journey. It's been a good journey. I'm grateful for every bit of the experience that it's been. And a lot of times you don't really see how the negatives are actually positive until you move far enough away from them to the point where you can get kind of a better view of the landscape. So I'm honored to be where I am right now.
Yeah, I mean, with the 10,000 hours to get there, another 10,000 hours to stay there. I had a little bit of time this weekend just to watch some games, like especially the semi-pro games.
Yeah.
We got to watch all of the semifinals, and the number of last names that I recognize on the back of semi-pro jerseys that had pro experience, some of which had like 10 years of pro experience, some of which that played for teams like Edmonton Impact, like Tampa Bay
Hmm.
Damage, um, top teams that are now back in semi-pro. Like it's the 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 journey up to pro is one thing, but then just your own personal legacy and like going up down is a whole other thing. I think more and more people are starting to discover, and man, it is not easy.
Man, it really tests, you as a player. It tests your desire to be great. It tests your ego. Um, and in a way, it forces you to continue on that path of growth. There's, as players that are slowly climbing the divisional ranks and getting to that upper echelon of our sport, and I would consider that anything from D2 and above. Um, you really recognize how much time you put into the sport to the point where, um, you know, unfortunately, we miss birthdays, we miss family events, we miss friends' weddings. We sacrifice time with our spouses and significant others for, this passion that is really tough to explain to anybody else, except somebody else that's, in the shit with us. And when you have kind of that pro carpet pulled from under you, um, there's a lot of time that's available because it's so difficult. There's only 20 pro teams that are there. And if there's only 10 places on the roster, there's 200 spots for, thousands of people fighting that may or may not be as good as you, may or may not have more experience than you. And that time, it's easy to realize how much you've missed in life and how much you've sacrificed in life for this sport, and to kind of go the other direction, and quote unquote to take a break. And at this level, man, the game, it progresses at such a rate and exponentially that you miss out on a season. It's a big deficit to climb back from, and it requires a lot of dedication to um, commit to that, because not only are you committing to knocking off the rust just to get back to where you were, but now you have to rise even faster, to a level that you may not have. And so it's tough, man. It is tough. I can't even lie, but at the same time, I think it really adds to the depth of the semi-pro and Division two and Division three, you know teams and programs, to the point where they become more and more solid, and it's less of, one player is making the team at a national level, and it's more of, one player allows a lot of these ideas and thought processes and philosophy to kind of precipitate into, the bones of the team, the structure of the team, to the point where a lot of, if that player decides not to play, at least those lessons stick around. But it's a lot, man. It's definitely a lot, and not to mention, paintball is a sport of timing, just like reaching a pro team, whether that's as a team and you earn your spot, or you earn a place on the roster as an individual. Um, it's timing. It's all timing. So even though that you have the desire and the want, and the skill set and all the above, sometimes you're just not needed. Not to say that you can't make it or you can't compete, but it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, for sure. And just for everybody who's listening, who's maybe not so familiar with your journey, I do want to kind of recap what you've been up to since you were last on here for episode 34. And this one's brought to us by QBRofficial.com. So you played pro for Austin Notorious for 2 years.
Mhm.
You've done a bunch of divisional coaching for the Notorious program. I think you also coached Havoc earlier this year at the
Yep.
USXBL event. You played multiple 10-man events with Team Dirty. You joined up with Jackpot for the Tampa event this year. You are the multiple time champion of the Open X Ball division with the Texas Tits and the San Antonio 3v3. And well,
Text
don't worry,
tits.
we're gonna talk about that one a little bit more.
Go tits.
And then this past weekend, you were picked up by San Antonio X Factor for Atlantic City. And like you said, there's a lot of ups and there's a whole lot of downs to go with it. So, where has your drive to keep that level of grind come from in spite of all the change?
Man, gosh, you know, I guess deep down, I feel I have a potential that I haven't reached yet. And maybe that's no, you know what? Let me rephrase this. Uh, Before I try and talk myself down, I believe that there's a potential that I haven't reached, and so I'm just going to leave that at that. Uh, and I think that is definitely driving me to continue on down my own personal path of just grinding and grinding and grinding. But also, man, it's the community. It's seeing, players that have become friends, that have become homies, that have, become teammates. It's seeing the kid that I used to be, watching their success, and realizing, the space that I inhabit in our community, and trying to be a better role model than, the role models that I had, or maybe the role model that I've been. It's, the dream that I'm following, that I'm trying to, uh, help others achieve. It's, um, you know, that person that looks at somebody, my age, and is like, if he can fucking do it, I can fucking do it. It's the guy that thinks, or the girl that thinks, they're better than me. And they're like, you know what, if he can go pro, I can do it. It's, the short kid, it's the tall kid, it's the overweight, it's everybody. It's anybody that doesn't fit the mold. Like, that's the person that I try to do it for, because I feel like in a way, I don't fit that mold. I've had to work on my game and become very well rounded, because I'm not super tall, super fast. The easiest way to get on a pro spot, right, is just to be born fast. That's not me. We talk about timing, like, and I'm sure we'll get to this, but as teams went pro early on in, my overall paintball career, I was one of the teams that played against them. I wasn't part of that journey, and so um, the just trying to find a way, and continue working, so that other people can see that their path is attainable. Their goals are attainable. Um, that's why I do it, I think. And also, it's, just trying to see what's possible. How far can you get? Um, it's a terrible question to ask yourself on your
Yeah,
deathbed. It's like, you know,
definitely.
like could I have done more? And I'd rather be like, no, there's nothing. And at the same time, whenever I win, I want it to be viewed as, well, of course he won. Look at what he's done. It's damn near impossible. You know, that's kind of what, and it's not just myself, right? It's a lot of teams, it's a lot of individual players that have that attitude, where you put in the work to a point where, um, there's no shadows in the room. It's all illuminated. You can see everything, and it becomes obvious when you look at it. And so, um, maybe that's it. Maybe it's just been the timing. It just, not having things handed to me on a silver platter has forced me to continue to grind and grind and grind, and assess my deficiencies, and look at all the areas that I can improve on, and listen to the harsh things that people have to say, or have said, in the past, or even my own negative self-talk that I'm thinking to myself. Those little things, I think, are what drives me overall. But um, you know maybe it's just meant to be. I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe and just I think somewhere in there you gotta just, and it's so easy to not do this when it comes to your own self, but just like allowing yourself to believe that like maybe this opportunity is for you.
Yeah.
And that is such a big part of it too. And I think in your case, you definitely have at least knowing more personally about what you've gone through this off season, and how um like you've just been ready, you're staying sharp, and we'll talk about how you've been staying sharp as well. But now the opportunity's here, and I think if you can allow yourself to believe just a little bit more,
Yeah.
then I think that'll be a big part for you too.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and speaking of the community, we do have a lot of the homies here in the chat already. We've got Dan Shelley, we got Shelva, pumped to see
Hey,
Jared get the opportunity he deserves.
good to see you, Dan.
Yeah, we got John Trevino, who says he needs a signed jersey. I know I've already
Sure.
asked you, and we'll you'll have to post some sort of order form out there.
Yeah, I'll work on it, man. And shout out to John, dude. He's a G. He's a G for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We got, let's see, Jacob Selman in here as well.
Hey, he's OG
What's
too.
up, Jacob? Uh, yeah, and then Chris Munoz, one
The
of your boys.
Martian. The
Yes,
Martian.
sir.
Can't sleep on him, man.
Oh yeah. Then shout out to Isaiah Ibarra as well. What's up,
Good,
man?
good to see you,
Yeah,
man.
lots of people in here. And I kind of going back to the community uh stuff like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been about 2 years and 3 months since we last spoke. And this one brought to us by Bem Raps. In what ways have you noticed the rest of the scene change during that last 2 years and change?
This is going to be more in kind of a relation to fit. I think what they've done in the past, 2 years, has really helped, and I think we're starting to see it. Has really helped, you know, add some vigor
Mhm.
into the homegrown communities. Um, Not the pro national teams, but like the D6 guys, the D5 guys that are just like, building up their own team full of friends. Um, the kids, the youth teams, just showing that the old model of paintball it can win still, but so can this new style, which is really old. What I mean is just local dudes practicing together, you know, uh, weekly, to the point where, like, when you're stepping on the field, it's like, man, I don't want to mess up for my brother, or I don't want him to die, or I don't want, I want my family to be able to rely on me. Things like that. I think them winning against quote unquote all odds, right, um, has really improved the mindset of local players, local teams, and kind of reignited some of the dream to go pro again, because it
Mhm.
shows that it like it can be toppled. The current, or not even the current anymore, but the previous state of the professional paintball world isn't as stable as we thought, and the ways of bringing on great players from foreign lands, isn't necessary anymore. And more so because you can rely on each other. And that's really what they've built and rebuilt and kind of refocused the community on, is that if you can just play paintball and work as a team, and trust in each other, and add a little bit extra thought into and intention into your game plan, and not just be out there willy nilly, like, anything is possible. And I don't think that was the case, back when we had our first discussion, mostly because they hadn't gone and won 5 straight semi-pro events yet.
Mhm.
Like, that was the time in which I think that motivation for them really stepped into place, and they like, fuck this, we're gonna earn this, and we're gonna
And
do it in a fashion where, like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts anymore.
And in fact, when we were talking, that was right after they had lost the pro spot by one
Yeah,
point to you
yeah,
guys. So
yeah,
that's certainly a hell of a way to get some fire, some inspiration for coming back even stronger.
yeah, man. Those
And
dudes they've done, and I've told many of them in person. I don't even think we know what they've done. But they've certainly changed the sport for the better, in my opinion. It's
they're just
just
getting started.
yeah, yeah. Well, and that's what's crazy is they've uh they've fanned the flames of every high-end pro team that isn't in first place right now. I guarantee you, including our chats, everybody's, we got to practice more. We got to practice together. We just have to do better. Um,
Mhm.
and That's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and I think shoot, I'm looking up. So I don't know if you know Nima Razavi,
Yeah.
the Iranian uh, paintball enthusiast. He made a post the other day, a couple weeks back, where but basically the win totals of all the teams since the NXL came back around following the collapse of PSP,
Yep.
and Fit was already number 6 on that list after
Yep.
one season, and now they're tied for 5th with Damage at 3 wins, and they did it all in a row. So I think these guys are like, yeah, they're gonna shoot up quick. And I know the comments online, they're like, oh, they're the new dynasty. They're going to be the new dynasty. I'm like, they already are. Like they're here. They've won 3 in a row. They they won what, only the at this past event, they did it in 1v1 sudden death in the finals, which has happened what, like 3 times since the NXL has come back. It was like X Factor did versus Damage, and then Damage versus Impact before that at the Dallas Minor, and now this one. So like
Yeah.
they're checking off so many boxes so quickly.
They are, and you definitely don't want to take anything away from the effort that they've put in, and they certainly deserve, to be where they are and to win what they've won. Um, at the same time, I don't think any competitor out there uh, is going to just take this on the chin, right? Like it's now a fuck, can't let them do 4. That's like,
Yep.
okay, everything that we did beforehand, we gotta double down on, we gotta triple down on, we gotta go all in on. Um, because it's now like, well, what are you doing differently? Like y if you played fit, you know how you got beat. And um, we can have that discussion, or at least just in a general sense. But um I think every team kind of is starting to see, you know, different ways to win. And
Mhm.
so it's going to be on them to figure out the best way for their team with their current skill set and what they've got in the tackle box, right? Like what do you have in your tool set? And how can you best leverage what you have uh, to find a way to win? Um, and Fit did a good job at this event with their off the break shooting. It was pretty evident going from Saturday to Sunday, and that was one of the tools that they have in their toolbox that worked really well, especially on a nasty, slippery layout where, it's already rough, it's raining, but at the same time, the way the field was playing out, if they could use their tool set, consistently and accurately, um, without making any mistakes, man, it made it hard for you to adapt. And so I don't think that the top pro teams or any pro team is going to just like I said, take this on the chin. Everybody's going back to work. Everybody's going to be busting their ass. Everybody's going to be doing something that they didn't do prior, so that hopefully they can beat somebody that maybe they haven't beat before.
I think they will certainly try, but at this point, they are the they they are the benefit of the doubt. They are the champions until proven otherwise,
Yeah.
and it's going to take a lot to prove otherwise with these guys.
Hmm.
So yeah, this next one's brought to us by Splat Zone, the Trinity 3-man series, which registration's still open for that. That event is in like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that,
Hmm.
over in Houston. So go sign up. They're also doing the Open 3v3 X Ball, which
Hey,
is it's
very
the new
cool.
wave, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
So
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about your open 3v3 X ball experiences. But I do want to touch on this past off season where it was announced in a surprise move to just about everybody that the Tauntauns came in, and I don't know if it was an acquisition or if it was a merger or if they're just renting the spot, but they took Notorious's spot over, and you and most of your teammates were suddenly found without a team.
Hmm.
So some of the guys like Archie Barnes Jr. and Michael Johnson immediately found other pro teams. Yourself and Logan Dyer returned to semi-pro. Logan Dyer, I think, is still with Shut Up or Trying, and then Others still like Ty Bateman, um, just to name one individual, is still like completely out of the game. And then of course Zach Carter made his return with Aftermath this event.
Mhm.
But how difficult was the free agency period for you?
I guess it's tough. I prior to, I guess, committing to semi-pro, and that was the thing was, I like being somebody that never wants to give up on myself. I turned down a couple different offers to go play semi-pro early, because it took me so long to get to pro. Why I'm not gonna just turn around and give it up so easily, let me at least fucking try. Uh, and I there were three teams in particular that I was looking at. Well, I guess technically four, about four pro teams I was looking at, and I really wanted to play with X Factor. They're the local team, and even though there were multiple tryouts that were happening before the X Factor one, and it wasn't a tryout, right? It was a kind of a closed opportunity to join them in a practice and see if that worked out. It wasn't like an open thing, but there were other open tryouts that were happening with other pro teams, and um, I was offered opportunities to go, but just looking at everything that's involved, committing to the travel, not just for the tryout, but committing for the practices, committing for the tournaments, and really making that commitment not just to yourself, right, but to the team. Because if you're going to take a roster spot and somebody's going to even partially cover your way, you owe it to them. You owe it to the sponsors on your chest, on your back. You owe it to everybody whose position you'll be taking, or working on taking. I mean, like, there's a lot of quote unquote debt involved when you make that commitment, and I didn't feel that that was the best opportunity, and I sacrificed going to a couple tryouts to practice with some of the local X Factor guys. Alex Martinez was instrumental in just slowly kind of teaching me a little bit here or there. I got reps with him. Cody Bayless I've known since I was a kid, like, I don't know, 13, 14, something like that. And when he would come out, I'd get some reps with him. And just slowly trying to learn their system and just work on stuff. And then when it came time to come to, I guess, that practice, uh, I thought I did well enough, but they were still pretty deep. I would have been number 10, and given, the manner in which X Factors run and the sponsorships and things like that, it didn't really make sense to bring me. And it at the same time, there's only so many reps at practice, and if you're taking reps at practice when you're not really planning on playing too much at the tournament, you're kind of taking reps from other people. Um, there's a lot that goes into it, and so it didn't seem like a smart decision at the time to bring me on. Um, and so when I was kind of left with that feeling where, shit, now what do I do? Um, there were some talks with one semi-pro team, a local team, Jackpot. Shout out Matt Blanco, Cameron Blanco. Um, they and their family, the entire Jackpot family, kind of welcomed me with open arms. And there were some discussions that we had to have about kind of things about just stuff in general. But their story is a little different. They were a D3 team that had success in D3, D4, and it seemed like they were going to be skipping Division Two to go try and play D1. And so that was kind of where I fit in with them. And Matt Blanco was very kind and took care of me, treated me well. All the guys on the team treated me extremely well. And it just, we did what we could. Practice layout, we just did what we could. and unfortunately, it didn't really pan out for the team as much as we had hoped. We lacked a coach. I did a little bit of player coaching, which is tough. Um, and every team, whenever you're, not doing as well as you hope to do, there's always frustrations. There's always stuff that goes on, and you just kind of have to roll with the punches and deal with that. And um, unfortunately, the team decided not to. When I say unfortunately, unfortunately, the team decided not to play Mid Atlantic. And so that kind of left me with this opening of, you know, do I play? Can I play? Who do I play with? And I've got other financial priorities at the moment that at the time just made more sense to kind of skip the event and maybe try to pick up some coaching gigs, cover some costs, and at the same, just keep working. Um, and originally I wasn't going to go, and the whole X Factor thing happened. So the off season overall has been tough just because you're kind of at this point of wondering and trying to measure up to something or somebody that uh you know again goes back to timing.
Mm.
It may not be your time. you know that's really it. And so that was kind of the struggle, was uh staying in that mindset of, no, you earned your way here. You are capable. Just because you're in one position doesn't mean that you're not capable of reaching another, and not allowing, I don't know, depression, because it's not a depression, but that's like the best way that I can describe it for as a
I
player.
I think fatigue might be a
Fa-
good word there too.
Yeah,
Certainly
but
a lot.
and it wasn't really that I was tired, because I love this sport. I love playing. Um, it was more of a, like, I don't know. Depression is the only word that I can really think of, but it was like a sadness of just like, man, you know, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? What can I do right? What can
Mm.
I improve on? And I really just started, like, um, not doubting myself, but questioning what I can do to improve. And it's a slippery slope, because again, a lot of that thought process comes with assessing the negatives, in you as a player, you as a person, um, and maybe the gaps in skill set, and it comes with humbling yourself. And so um, it was a lot of uncertainty. I just kind of took things in stride, and trusted the process, because it already got me here. So it's obviously, you know, pretty solid in its intent. It just might not be you know, the time that I want it to be in.
Yeah. Well, I think kind of going back to the paintball fit story, I think we're definitely here on the verge, or maybe it's already started, of a major change within paintball as a whole. And so I think there's we're going to see a major shift, I feel like, of kind of the changing of the guard, if you will.
Mm,
So yeah, with you being one of the more recent up and comers, I think everybody whose time was is they're about to start making some room for the next generation. And yeah, hopefully yeah, we'll see how all that unfurls, because I think it's going to be exciting, entertaining at the very least, certainly
hmm
controversial. Uh,
hmm
yeah, it should be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very curious to see. So the conversation is really like, you've got these new up and comers, these, that are really good at what they do, and they play paintball a lot. The question, I think, comes into play of, what happens when the guys with 20 years pro experience decide to put in the work that Fit puts in, and when they decide to motivate themselves again and not be motivated by somebody else, right? Because that little motivation, it's like, cool, Fit won. Okay, let's get back to practice, guys. All right, well, what about the time in between all that? What about the time when your teammates aren't there and it's not a mandatory? What about when it's the middle of the week and it's raining outside and there is no practice? Who's going to turn on film and watch? Who's going to study? And it just, I think there's definitely going to be some changes, but I'm very curious to see what happens because one one group pushes another to push the other to push the other. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. I'm excited for the sport no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of touching in there a little bit, you mentioned like considering taking on a couple of coaching gigs to help
Mhm.
cover costs in the meantime. Question in the chat is about that from our boy Lastro Lopez. He asks
Hey,
what your favorite part about your time coaching was.
dude, I love watching good paintball, and I love watching people uh, get better, like and reach potentials that they knew were possible. But like I like watching it live. I like seeing people succeed in front of me. It's fucking exciting. Like it's a firework. You see them do what they knew was possible, and you're just like a little catalyst that allowed it to happen by calling the right play, shooting a guy off break, adjusting some guns. But also, it's kind of like, man, if everybody's doing their job, it's a little like it checks my own little box of yeah, I knew I was a smart player. I knew I could figure something
Mm,
out. I know I had like those little things I love. But mostly I like seeing people succeed. Because in a way it's also you succeeding. It shows that you were right
mm,
and your thought process is repeatable. And so from that you can then give back to the community knowing that they're going to succeed also. And luckily, you've unlocked that little, you know, piece of information that you now have a key to that problem. So nobody will have to deal with that again. So I like watching people succeed, man.
Same here. It's definitely a great feeling watching your players like put it all together
Yeah.
and execute on the field. It's a great feeling. So along with the coaching that you've been doing, this one's brought to us by one of our sponsors, Sasha's San Antonio 3v3
What's
series.
up,
Uh,
Sasha?
so you played with Jackpot. You also stayed active with coaching and you stayed active playing other events like the new Open 3v3 X Ball, which has started gaining traction this year. And it's
Mhm.
a brand new division being offered that allows players of any skill level to all compete against each other. So, how has your experience been playing in those two San Antonio 3v3 Open X Ball events?
Man, the series itself is fun. It's definitely, I would say, the most fun tournament I've played. Um, it's very local, very communal. It's more so for, the surrounding cities kind of thing. Sasha puts on a great tournament. X Factor is obviously a fantastic park, like world renowned. Um, the format. So when we go back to like 3v3, um, three man, as it was called, right? Like, yeah, 3 man, 5 man, 7 man, 10 man, and then X ball. 3 man was like your introductory format. Like when you
Mhm.
were coming up back in the day, it was usually like you didn't play 3 man in pro. You or open or anything like that. You usually like graduated from that. 3 man was like your rookie, your Division 6, your beginner stuff. But the open X ball 3v3 or just the 3v3 X ball format, um, that format it's much faster, but also it's like it really gets down to what makes tournament paintball, I think, and that's like the situationals. In a 5-on-5, like you shoot two bodies off break. I mean, it's a 5-on-3. What are you gonna do?
Right.
And the thing is you can still win that. It's not impossible. Um, the other guys shoot two bodies. Now it's a 3-on-3. There's a lot of games that go down to the 3-on-3s or the 2-on-3s, and getting opportunities to run that situation in a tournament style, it's a lot of fun, because it still allows like the individual to kind of play like an individual, but it also provides you enough bodies to work something out where you're not screaming over, seven other people's guns as everybody's shooting. There's enough chaos to thrive, and not enough chaos to kind of like lose yourself in things and get overwhelmed.
Mm.
Um, and it's still fast. I think the so it's a three man, no mercy, 5 minute match, and I think the 5 minutes is perfect because it allows kind of the format to spin really quickly. You get through your prelims, your finals and all that stuff pretty fast. But 5 minutes is if you want it to be a 1-0 game, like you can do that. If you want to run them back in like 7, 10, 20-second points, you can do that. And 5 minutes is like, when a lot of us run our matches during practice, they're usually like 6 minute matches, 8 minute
Mm.
matches. So it's a pretty common, time frame in which you can practice and then actually get reps at a tournament, under that same thing. But man, I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's it's still pretty competitive, still pretty fast paced, but also because it's not like 10, people deep on a roster, it's not really cliquish.
Mhm.
You can still have three guys and compete and still play 3v3. Four guys is great. You can have six on the roster, so you can still run two lines and still bring your local five-man team and have some fun. So I'm a big fan of it. I'm glad that the format is growing, to Houston. I know they're doing some stuff up in Dallas at Fit. I would love to see it, throughout the US, to be honest. I think a lot of pros and upper divisional, lower division, I think everybody could get a lot of benefit from it. Also, in my opinion, I think one of the best parts is it's pretty cost effective. It's a relatively cheap event to play while practicing the X Ball format. Um, and you can quote unquote still practice in the tournament, right? It's still a 3-on-3. It's still a situational. So going into these events with that mindset, I mean, that's kind of how I'm approaching it. Like, yeah, I love to have fun. I like cheap paintball.
Mhm.
Um, but also I like to be better at the end of it, and I like to test myself. And so, and it also tests other people, right? It tests guys closing, breaking games open, shooting off break. It's still three guys, so you can kind of play man on man defense and win your gunfight, go down, shoot a couple bodies, be a hero if you want to. Um, it's a fun event. I really hope more people play it, especially all the local pros. You guys got to get out there to the open one.
Yeah, for sure. I know the last one we saw, like Diego and Geronimo were there playing with Nico Hyde. All three of them were on a team.
Yeah, they got pissed
And
off and went and took second now. You know what I mean? It's like, wow. They did. I mean, yeah, no. And that was awesome, man. That was awesome seeing those
yeah,
guys there too.
yeah, and you've got like really good competition for like, um, which the way Sasha has it, there's no like cash on the line or anything like that, but
Mm,
it's still a great time. And here I know you and I have some history with three man, and I'm gonna pull up this
yeah.
blast from the past. Let's see if I can. There we go.
Hey, good
Yeah,
times. You
you.
got British, Dylan, Paul Hubert. Good
Yeah,
stuff,
man, the
dude.
raw dogs.
They're raw dog.
Man, you and your three man names. First, you got the raw
Yeah,
dogs back in
dude.
2021.
Oh,
Or no,
that's
this might have been
funny.
2020. And then now you're with the Texas Tits and the three man.
The
You
Texas tits. Yeah,
Yeah, see,
dude.
and the other thing about three man is you really get to get the fun names in there.
Yeah. Dude, I love this format. I think Sasha, from X Factor, SAT 3v3, I think he did a fantastic job. He executed the events well. He's doing a fantastic job just being like a patron for the sport for our local area. Um, Sasha's done a lot, and he's also built a team, local team Dragoons. He actually gave me his jersey, probably one of my favorite jerseys of all time. Um, yeah, it's well, it's a cool jersey.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of what he's done, and I'm really looking. I wish I could play this next one. So if we beat you guys, you should go play this next one. You might have a chance. But
For sure.
I won't be at this next one, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. Sasha's making sure that he clarifies y'all's Texas Tits name like the
Like the
bird.
bird. I found out it
But
was a bird at the event. I thought it was a pair.
I love it. But so yeah, this is more of these open 3v3 X Ball events are popping up. This one's brought to us by Mariachi Aguirre Oro. The next one being the Splat Zone 3-man in Houston, which
Hell
is
yeah.
May 25th is going
Is
to be
that
the date. That's going to
is that the indoor park?
that's the indoor park. Yep.
Man, I hear great things about that place. I would love to visit. Love to check it
Yep.
out sometime. I hear that they're doing really well over there. Shout out to Splatzone.
Yeah, shout out to Jaybird. And the so you've got that event on May 25th, and then
Hmm.
the following weekend is the next San Antonio 3v3 back at X Factor.
Hmm.
So for anybody out there listening, would you recommend that they try out the format?
Dude, highly, highly. And that's like if you're not going to the ICPL, because that's why I won't be there. Shout out to Dirty 10-man team, Jimmy Burton. Dude's been awesome, man. They're really building that out. But if you're not going to the ICPL, I definitely recommend you go play the 3v3. Like I said, it's a fantastic format for all types of players, whether that's your, your local series and that's all you're doing. Or if you're a national player, looking for some extra reps and looking for a fun way to practice with the homies, it's a great opportunity as well. I can't recommend it enough. Plus, the Gunners come out and they bring some awesome barbecue, and might find some drinks and some stuff,
Mhm.
and then oh, what's her name? They make strawberry cakes. Man, I love those
Celia.
strawberry cakes. Celia, bro, strawberry cupcakes or the strawberry cakes, so good, so good. First place, love them. But yeah, it's a good time, really good
Yeah,
time. Lots of cool
it's
people
a
there.
vibe. Yeah, like I mean, you're competing
Hmm.
for baked goods on the podium, right? Like,
Dude,
there's nothing
right?
better.
Yeah, yeah. And the refs are all cool. The refs are all cool, man.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
I know there was one little controversy at the end of the last one, but I think I stand by how I
No,
had
no,
to call
I
that
get
at the
it.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I get that, and that's it's funny because I've talked to some of the extra guys about that, and they're just like, yeah, you can't just like pull the whole team and then have them start down. Yes, but
I
it's
mean,
just it's a 3-man, right?
yeah,
Like it's just for the spirit of the format, the spirit of the
yeah, for
sport.
sure.
It just yeah. So and either way, like I think what you and the Tex Titans and all the guys who've refed, I think some of the
Mhm,
great guys were refing also. What you guys do for the format and your intelligence and IQ for the game and kind of how you want people to experience the game, I think is really one of the key aspects to having a good series. It's not just like the rules, right?
mhm.
Sometimes the rules are the rules, and I'm not saying you should break the rules, but sometimes
Rule of
the
cool
rule,
is also applied.
sometimes there's just a place, and sometimes the spirit is more important.
Definitely.
And I think you guys have done a great job, and obviously will continue doing a great job. So
Mhm.
anybody that's out there that's even thinking about it, go do it. Um, Highly
Yeah,
recommend it.
and here on the screen, I've got Jaybird from Splat Houston. He's chiming in. He says, "Open division's ready for you over in Houston.
Dude,
You do it."
man, I so unfortunately that weekend we're talking about like I said, all the pro teams are going to be practicing more. So
Mhm.
we're already talking about, practicing possibly that weekend.
Ooh.
Um yeah, it's dude, we're not taking it, lightly at all. Um Everybody's really trying to work hard, so we're going to try to spend the time, work a little bit harder and make sure that there's no excuses, at this next one.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, if you change your mind, my ref crew is also going to be
Hey,
going over to that one. Yeah, Jaybird reached out to me. He
nice,
said that, yeah, you guys are doing great. Come on over here. Let's make some magic happen in
dude.
Houston. So,
It's a
yeah,
great
we're
crew.
driving out.
Great crew, man. Great crew. Yeah, done solid, Jaybird.
All right. So This next question is brought to us by your teammate Colt Roberts and his regimen paintball kumite. So, even when you were without a consistent team, what drills or other things were you doing to stay sharp?
Oh man. Drills, I guess, on field stuff, man, was a lot of like long ball snap shooting. And granted, you kind of need your paint to be halfway decent in order to make sure that that doesn't contribute to your miss. Um, but obviously, and this is something I learned from Alex Martinez with X Factor was, if you can shoot somebody corner to corner and hit, something the size of a quarter, you can shoot somebody in the face anywhere on the field. And that type of consistency and precision on your mechanics, you know, that's like that's where you're going to get the best chance of somebody maybe head checking into a ball. Maybe you're playing with the cadence of somebody gunfighting you. um I did a lot of long ball stuff, but also I find myself, and obviously I kind of, in pro I play a lot more up the center, but I kind of shift over to snake side a little bit. Occasionally find myself on the Doritos, but my style is a little bit more sneaky, and I like finding shots, and sometimes those shots are, you know, from snake corner to Dorito corner.
Mhm.
And if I can see you, I want to be able to hit that. And really that's the way that I kind of looked at all my drills. In every drill is, if I can see it, I should theoretically be able to hit it somehow. And that's my goal. If I'm running, if I'm mid dive and I'm still shooting, if I'm, sideways leaning out of a bunker, like it just, uh, I want to be able to hit anything I look at. And obviously the mechanism, the gun, the paint, everything like that's got to be contributing to that. Um, but that was kind of what I focused on, was if there's an opportunity, doesn't matter how far the guy is. I want to take advantage of that opportunity. Because one thing I've learned in the pro division is, if you get a chance, man, there's like a 90% chance it's not going to be there if you miss.
Right.
Like, it's never again. So I'll take you back to my first, the practice before Tampa when I was trying out. And this is the first time that I actually got an opportunity to play with Archie. I've known Archie Monomiller for 20, 25 years. We've never played on the same team. Um, Coincidentally, like, we both kind of graduated from the same high school, although I never met him. Um, we, like, families live in the same area, and obviously he's had a ton more experience, not just in the sport, but winning and at the pro level. And there was this layoff. I think we were practicing Diesel, and
Is this the one that we
I
were at?
it might have been. So I go to their brick, right? If you imagine like this last Mid-Atlantic layout, I go to their brick, sneak through, get all the way onto their side of the field. Nobody sees me, and my job is to watch the snake cut. And I think it's Lackey, Jared Lackey, that like he like slides through the gap, and I fucking miss. I missed him, and I hop back, and I end up shooting him out eventually, right? And I think I end up like rapping, shooting a couple people. We end up winning the point. Well, we go in, and Archie tells me, like, I'm saying something, and he's like, the focus of what he's saying is basically like, "Look, yeah, like, yeah, it's good that you came back and shot him, but you missed the first time." And that's the difference between, like, not even pro and semi-pro. That's the difference between like winning and losing. That's the difference between first and second. That's it. You missed. Period. Doesn't matter how many chances. Oh, you got him again. Doesn't matter. You got lucky that you even had a chance to get him again. You got fucking lucky. You missed him because fucking sucked at that point. Like, or maybe you were doing too much. Like you're focusing on, well, what if this guy comes and sticks me in the back? Who fucking cares? Make the shot happen. Like the other guys on the team are there to protect you. And if they don't, well, then that's their problem. But you are on their side of the field to make the shot happen. You fucking missed. So in a way, it's like, you know, do they really want to bring you? Maybe. Do you deserve to be number 9? Maybe. Do you want to be number, like it just like it was a light bulb, and that's the level of professionalism and expertise and mastery that you have to be at in order to succeed in this level of anything. Like you get the chance. They're pro also. They might even be better than you, but you're also good and you got yourself into this position. You can't miss those. So, and it's funny because I talked to previous teammate Michael Johnson. Shout out to Michael Johnson, Russian Legion, Ryan Gray, all those guys. Um, I talked to Michael Johnson kind of about that because he was kind of going through something similar with Legion at the time. He was trying out for them. Nothing was confirmed. I don't think he at the time was confirmed on the roster until like the Tuesday before, the Wednesday before, like their first match. It's something crazy. And we were talking about that, and we were just kind of talking about some of the similarities between like the greats in our game, like Archie and in this case J-Rap, and talking about how when you've been at that level, you really start understanding the importance of those moments, and too many missed moments, too many missed shots add up to, well, you missed the cut. Well, you didn't quite make second place, or you didn't quite make first place, or you could have done it, but you just like there's just too many excuses that could be reasons, but they're excuses in the sense that, you know, now you're trying to cover your tracks. You're trying to make up for why something didn't happen. Not necessarily that just something didn't happen, right? Like, you know, you shot the shot, but you had broken paint, or you had a weird ball that flew a different way, or it bounced, and you're running you've got ice in your cooling, you're doing everything you can, right? That to me is a reason. But if you got sketched out, if you didn't put in the work, if the opportunity was there and you had the skill set to accomplish the goal and you didn't for some reason that was in your control, now you're just making excuses. And they every high level player has that mindset, and so yeah, man, forgot where I was going with all this, but it's been enlightening across the board.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, especially with a great mind like Archie Montemayor now as a teammate for you.
Yeah,
Um, that's a high standard to try and meet
yeah,
to keep
he's
up.
he's a hell of a leader. He inspires everybody around him. um and he speaks with confidence and intention. you know I don't I got the opportunity to room with him, this whole event. I don't think there was a single wasted word, if that makes sense. There's no breath that's wasted. It's all intentional. Otherwise, there's no reason to say something.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember I worked for him for the last year and a half. So
That's
yeah,
right.
I definitely understand probably more than most.
Hmm.
Yeah, everything that you're saying, definitely true.
Hmm.
So yeah, this next question is brought to us by you, texandhemp.com. So last episode that you were on, we talked a bit about your business and how the struggles and the journey has been with that whole ordeal, both here in
Hmm.
Texas and up in Oregon. So how has business been since then?
Well, it's been up and down, just like everything. Business is good, in general. I would say a lot of the long range work, the SEO development, optimization, all that stuff, just the ability to be found on Google, right? A lot of the effort is paying off. The majority of my sales are from organic leads, just people typing something into Google and me popping up. And again, a lot of that is just timing related, just trying to make sure I can be found if somebody wants to find me.
And
And
hopefully, some of the listeners are contributing to that as well.
dude, I get orders from Texas, Alaska, Florida, New York, California. I mean, all over. I've gotten inquiries from Germany, but they just to do things right, it requires a little bit more phytosanitary certificates and all kinds of little stuff. And it's just a matter of making sure you check all the boxes so that you're staying compliant in everything that you're doing because it's a unique industry. The industry as a whole is somewhat changing. Here in Texas is kind of going backwards. For my stuff, it's still like we're still governed by the Department of Agriculture. And I kind of stayed in this area because of just the experience in general. Um, but a lot of things nationwide are kind of changing and worldwide, and I think the people are more accepting of the industry, whereas um, the government, the structure of our country, not so much, but more so they want it to be done in a certain way, and so it just changes things, and I'm just grateful to still be here. There's still a huge conversation, and nothing is confirmed, but I know that you know, everybody's fighting to just make sure that whatever happens is done with the right intention. But yeah, the Oregon property, it should be getting put on the market like supposed to be last week, hoping it's this week. Nothing else on my end. I'm just kind of waiting on my realtor to get the pictures done and I'll put that out there, and then I think after as soon as that's sold, I'll be kind of 100% focused here in back in Texas again, and we'll see what that leads to. I'm just kind of playing everything by ear right now.
And I knowing kind of more of the full story, I don't remember how much of it we talked about on air for the last episode, but
Hmm.
I'm sure it's a major headache that you're hoping to be rid of at some
Dude,
point.
it's funny. I was talking to my mom about this, a while back. Real close with my mom. Shout out to my mom. She was the one that was driving me to go play paintball when I was a kid. And if you're listening and your mom drives you to practice or your dad drive, man, just don't take that stuff for granted, man. It's a privilege, and it should be an honor to have a family, a parent that uh, believes in you and has faith in you and really just wants the best for you. Um, but yeah, I was talking to my mom about that, and I was saying, had everything worked out the way I intended it to in Oregon, I wouldn't be pro. I wouldn't be playing for X Factor. Um, who knows what would have happened? I'd probably be hanging out with Corey Field out in Eugene area. Um, doing something. Maybe Seattle Thunder would still be around. Who knows? Maybe I'd be playing with Uprising. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts, but yeah, it's the headache is for sure going to be gone. But like I said, it's one of those ups and downs where it's tough climbing the mountain, but when you get to a different mountain and you look back, you're like, damn, that's a beautiful sight. The whole mountain range is something that you just trek through, and you have that knowledge, you have that experience, and I'm in a weird way, grateful it all happened, because in order for me to physically be back here, a lot of stuff had to happen that at the time I considered extremely negative, um, very detrimental to health, wellness, mental health. Um, and I'm just counting my blessings.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing Leo put in the chat a little bit ago was, your time with the, oh, not that one. Here we go. Time with the I-35 All
I-35 All
Stars.
Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's good squad, man. Good squad.
Yeah. Here, let me see if I can present this correctly. There we go. There's the photo.
Dude.
That's
Winners.
Yeah, man. And you've got
Just
a lot of names on that squad that
mhm.
are still making waves, man. You've got, let's see, one, two, three pros, or
Yeah.
three players that have made pro since the photo was taken.
Hmm.
And then you've got myself, you got Dylan, on our way up.
Yep,
We'll be
yep.
there.
No, dude, just a bunch of winners, man. That's all it is. Just a bunch of winners standing around.
Yes, sir. All right. So kind of skipping ahead now, we are now you are the newest member for San Antonio X Factor. This one's brought
Mm.
to us by 71 Designs. And I want to give you a chance to set the record straight on how exactly you managed to land the roster spot, despite what might have been said on the webcast. So
That was funny.
yeah, how did it end up happening?
Okay, well, so first off, Maddie came up to me and apologized. I will say that. Shout out to Maddie Marshall. Maddie apologized for all that, and we had a really good conversation in person about a lot of stuff. But so what was said, was I played this 3v3, pure rookie. Um, one was the MVP, and then because of that, X Factor picked me up. Um, so yeah, obviously played the 3v3. I was granted that opportunity to be the MVP. Um, However, I'd like to think that wasn't the reason that X Factor picked me up. Although they were practicing like right over there,
They
so
were.
they were, and
Al was always
coincidentally,
watching.
yeah, and coincidentally, they were running 3-on-3s the whole time. But
Well,
no,
next time we need to get them to throw a line in.
dude, yeah, yeah,
That'll be
they don't
fun.
want this. They don't want this.
I think they're more scared of Dane,
uh,
honestly.
oh, dude, Dane's got that drop shot, baby. Uh, yeah, oh, no, so yeah, kind of going back to it, right? So had zero expectations of doing anything for Mid Atlantic. Was looking for some coaching gigs, and it was like layout dropped Wednesday, Thursday morning, like 7 something in the morning. I'm on my way to work, um, and I get a text from Ryan Brand, and and Ryan Brand and I have talked over the last year or so. I've mentioned a few times that I'm very interested in joining the team. Just kind of keep me in mind. And he's also kind of local, lives in Austin. Um, Very cool dude. And he's been the guy that kind of has been upfront and inviting me to have some of these opportunities. So sends me a message and he's like, hey man, we're like might be down a body at practice. It's like a 75% chance, there's no guarantees or anything, but kind of what are you doing this weekend? Do you want to get some reps in? Just be another body, right? And that's all it was. It was just, do you want to come get some reps? No, you're not practicing. I was like, yeah, yeah, I can make practice for sure. I didn't have any plans either. Um, so still on my way to work, and that 75% goes to 100%. It's like, yeah, we are for sure down a body. Um, so if you want to make practice, have a little bit more chance of playing time. But also, what do you think about the Friday practice? And mind you, it's Thursday morning. Still on my way to work, so I'm like, let me talk to the boss, see what's up. Um, so I'm like, worst case scenario, it's no, but might be yes. So my boss, he and the company that I'm working with right now is another company outside of the texanhemp.com. We actually utilize utility rebates to provide cultivators of all kinds, whether it's traditional agriculture like tomatoes, lettuce, herbs, things like that, or cannabis cultivators, hemp cultivators, across the U.S. We use utility rebates to provide them opportunities to get you know heavily discounted, if not free, LED lights. Um, and so he's whenever he hired me, it was very much, sports minded, athlete minded, like push yourself, be an entrepreneur, um, grind. And so he used to coach football as well. And he's been very cool with me, playing professional paintball, and loves the idea. And so when I brought this up to him, he's just like, man, you got to live life. And I was like, great. So I told him kind of what I was doing Friday, and if I do well enough on Friday and Saturday, maybe Sunday, these are the other dates that I might need off. And he was like, that's fine. Um, so tell Ryan I'm in. Um, so I show up practice on Friday, and mind you, like the kind of the timeline of things is like, hey, no pressure, but like by Sunday we got to dial it in, right? And so the guys that are going to be playing are going to be playing. So if you want a chance to get more spins on Saturday, you got to really perform Friday. If you want a chance for spins on Sunday, you got to really perform Saturday. So came out Friday, performed well enough. Um, came back Saturday and performed well enough, and was told that if there's an opportunity, and I still want to go, that they would like to have me on the roster and to book my flight. So I booked my flight Saturday night, and came back kind of Sunday with like, okay, like this is what it is. Um, and so with that, it's still like, okay, cool, you're on the roster, but you still have to prove yourself. And some little stuff have been trickling through. I had people reach out, saying like, now that you're on X Factor, you should change your stuff and on Instagram and change your profile. And I I felt like I still had to prove myself, because I really look up to this team. I look up to the roster. I look up to the program. I look up to the name. And it holds a lot of weight. Not everybody is given an opportunity, to add to the depth. To be relied upon in the event they need somebody. And so I kind of took this, seriously, and um, yeah, it waited, went to the practices and performed, and afterwards was kind of given the go ahead to like, yeah, we'd like to bring you to the next event and welcome to the team. And that's kind of how it all happened, man. And a lot of it really goes back to just, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. It's trusting the process. It's working hard. It's we're talking about like doing drills and stuff like on the field. Um, Brandon White, shout out B White. He's got a training facility out in Lakewood. I think it's like OPP Techs or something like that.
Mm.
Um, he helped me kind of assess some posture issues that I had that were contributing to like some knee pain. Gave me some exercises and workouts to kind of isolate some of those muscles and to retrain my body. And this way, I wasn't applying a lot of pressure on the things that man, I 100% feel that it allowed me to strengthen other areas of my body, to keep me, performing at a level that I felt I could perform at. It allowed me to have some longevity in the sport, and so those little things overall, they all kind of add up to not only getting the opportunity, but again, being able to take advantage of the opportunity and being ready. Had I just given up, on playing paintball for the whole time. As soon as I found out, there was a chance we weren't going to play Mid Atlantic. I mean, I probably wouldn't have been in shape. I'd probably be huffing and puffing, and maybe gained a couple pounds just eating bad food, just like little things like that. So, um, yeah, it's kind of like it's an ongoing thing, right? You never know who's watching you, and so that's kind of how the opportunity presented itself. But also, it's not to say like you haven't been trying out this whole time. And you still have to consistently perform every day, every opportunity they see you. And if you're not getting better every time they look at you, then they're kind of always holding on to that last image. So it's just one of those things that lined up.
Yeah, just staying ready, kind of dressing for the job that you want,
Yeah.
and yeah, the opportunities just kind of present themselves eventually,
Hmm.
but you've got to be ready at that moment because I mean, everybody listening, you heard how fast things moved
Yeah.
once X Factor found out they were down Tim Stetzel for the event.
Hmm.
I was like, hey, Thursday morning, we might be down a body.
Yeah.
However many minutes later, we're down a body, 100%.
Dude.
Can you make tomorrow? All
Yeah.
right. And then like 2 days later, you're booking flights and asking for like,
Dude.
however many days off, and
It's
it moves
fast.
fast
Yeah, it really does, and that's like, I mean, I can't really understate it, man. Like, you just gotta be ready. Even when you're playing, like, when you're number 9, number 8 on the roster, you don't know what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
Like, you gotta be ready. And that's harder when you're not getting reps. It's harder when you're not getting practice opportunities, when you don't get to play better teams, when even your team is really spread out across the country or across the state, right? Like, you have to really find opportunities to really you know stay dedicated to your craft and do everything that's possible to not make an excuse.
for sure. And you've got you got one gentleman here in the chat that was inspired, even amazed by your story here.
Look at
Ty
that.
Bateman.
Wow. What's up, Ty Greatman?
Yeah.
That's Ty Greatman, man. If y'all don't know Ty Greatman, that he's a great man, Ty Greatman.
Yes, sir. And then you've got some more love from another teammate.
ABJ, my guy, that's the
Yeah.
cut right there. It's good, man, and it was great seeing ABJ perform with Arsenal. Man, Arsenal looked really good at this event. Like, I mean, Revo's a great team in general. But as the newly transformed Arsenal with ABJ, with JC Whittington, like, those dudes performed well, and just watching, like, ABJ's trajectory, and knowing him on, like, a personal level, and as a former teammate, right, and seeing him progress. I'm extremely happy for him, and I kind of mentioned, like, he's that dude is out there grinding in the woods. I don't know if you've seen his videos or his story, man. He's just doing snap shooting drills in the forest, man, shooting all the forest spirits. He's blowing the bark off trees, you know what I mean? You could probably go through the forest one day, like, just way in the future, and you'll just see, like, these little just shaved marks that are just as high as he is, just from where he's been snap shooting out of that thing. But and even for Archie, right? Like, he's a hell of a player, and he finds the opportunity to grind, whether it's out in the woods, and the what it looks like. I mean, so back in the day, we used to have this park out that was my first paintball park out here. It was called Constant Action, and they couldn't afford a sup airfield or an airball field, so they built it out of wood, and it was just plywood. They made it in these geometric shapes, and that's basically what he's doing, like, one-on-ones out in the forest with whoever he can find. And it's just like, man, that dedication to trying to be great or to reach your potential. I mean, there's no excuse. We've got hyperball fields that, if airball fields are taken, I'll hop onto an hyperball field, and I don't need a target. I'll just find something to shoot at, and if I can't find something, I'll make something. And if I can't make something, then I'll shoot the net and then try to hit that same ball, or I'll shoot a post and try and hit that same spot specifically. I mean, um, got to do what you can. I know Archie's like, guy's notorious for said awesome notorious, but he's notorious for going on these, like, insane runs, and it, like, might even be on his lunch break. Like, he's crushing it. It's It's about staying ready, man. Staying ready.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So this next question is brought to us by Hydra. So looking to the future, what does X Factor have planned to get ready for Cincinnati?
Well, we're definitely practicing more. I know that for sure. I would like to think that uh, we're gonna work on our off the break shots like nobody's business. That was the huge you know, I think component of Fitt's win over us on Sunday.
Mhm.
Um, you know, experience, the game plan. Doesn't really matter if you can't get to your bunker. Like if they can shoot you before, and really what to my understanding that everybody was doing or that Fit was doing is really keying up right on that snake side can and putting both of the home guns that way. Typically they're heads up or sometimes they're cross where you can get a better angle. But when they're both shooting at that same spot and they're kind of doubling down and they both have great shots, they're increasing their chances of obviously making it to a 5-on-4. But from there, the experience of the no mistake paintball and the holding zones and patience, um, it gets leveraged heavily to the point where they're not going to make a mistake and they're already up a body. So they're just kind of waiting on somebody else to make a mistake and they catch you. And so um, their quick shots really contributed to that. And so I think that's something that, you know, I imagine we'll be really focusing on quite a bit. Um, it seems like the team before, while we were doing the 3-on-3 tournament, they were putting a lot of effort into their 3-on-3s, the situationals. I imagine we'll probably be doing a lot more of that. Shit, we were at the airport talking about practice already, and it was about, like this team had reached out to one of the guys. This team had talked to Ryan Brand. This team, like people want to practice, but it's not so much about. First off, it's yeah, who are we practicing? What kind of looks are they going to give us? But more so, what are we going to do with that? Like cool, you have a sparring partner, great. Well, who cares what they're trying to do? What are we going to do with that partner? What are we going to work on? Where are our areas in which we can grow or really improve? Again, to leverage the tools that we already have, the assets that we already have, and so, uh, I mean that, and probably just anything that has to do with communication, right? Like
Mhm.
our communication can be better. Me personally, I'm just learning the layout, or not the layout, their calls, their system, their program. Um, and the more that I know it and the more routine it becomes, the easier it is for me to use that. There's a lot of calls that um, are very layout dependent, and so making sure that we're comfortable using those as they're needed, but also understanding um, the importance of a call, and if that isn't used, well, then maybe a risk isn't necessarily worth taking,
Right.
because we didn't use our teammates, and so that it's funny that this question is brought by Hydra, right? The Hydra, multiple heads. That's kind of the focus of like the team. You have multiple heads operating as one giant monster, and that's where the team really becomes a threat. It's this whole thing working together, communicating with each other, and using each other as offense and defense, push and pull, give and take. Um, so I know we're fired up, because I remember our conversation when we're all soaking wet, sitting in the
Oh,
booth,
yeah.
and nobody's happy. We're all talking about just things that we can do better, things that we can do more of. Um, but also, we're not like we're still where we are because we succeeded in other areas.
Mhm.
So it's not all negative. But also we can always do better, so we're gonna work on a lot, but I think it really comes down to going back to the fundamentals and being good at the things that are easy to be good at. Communicating, shooting off break, making sure we know where everybody's at, normal stuff.
For sure. I mean, everybody's got stuff to work on, even all the way up at the top.
Yeah,
And even with the talent that you guys have on your roster, like there's still like another like there's still more to do to become number one, right? To be
yeah.
the top, I guess at the pro level, it's the top 5%, right? If you're not the top 5%, you're not first. Um,
And you got to do it again, and you got to do it again, and then when the layout changes, you got to do it again.
for sure.
It's a battle.
All right, Jared. So we're getting toward the end of our show. Everybody that's here watching, listening live, thank you so much for tuning in. If you got any questions for Jared, get them in the chat now. We're getting to the end. So, Jared, this one I asked you a couple of years ago whenever you were last on, but it's one I ask everybody that comes on. So it's brought to you by Get That Shot, local media pro for, I believe he's shooting for HK Army nowadays on the pro field. So,
Mm.
message get that underscore shot on Instagram if you're needing media coverage at the upcoming USXBL event or in Cincinnati. So, Jared, is there anybody in paintball? It could be a team, a player, a brand, a project, community member, anybody or anyone out there that you believe deserves more recognition for what they're doing?
You know, the people that just pop into my mind, and I don't think I've said them before, but like the demolition guys, you know, Aaron Signs in particular, Victor over there, um, Taylor, Devin, like Emmy, like they're putting in um, they're putting in work for an area of Texas that doesn't really get a lot of you know credit. But also they're doing, they're pulling their own weight. This last event, I think they had like 5 or 6 guys
Mhm.
did what they could. They're out there hustling, man. Like, you know, they're doing whatever they can to make stuff happen. And it's like I've seen those guys, continue their grind. Back when we used to play with grit. Um, I've seen them when it was with FSU a little bit. I know some of those guys were practicing kind of up north. Like I think Devin and Emmy were getting in reps with Diesel and just kind of like getting them up to speed and teaching them to play. And um, you know, for where they are and the majority of those guys live, not all of them, right? But there a lot of them South Texas. It seems like there's not a lot of competition, for them to continually make the drive up to X Factor and to put in work. I love seeing that progress, be made, and even if they have a bad tournament, uh, it's just them putting in the effort and being consistent. I think Vic actually, shout out to Vic, man. I think he got into like a car accident or something that I had heard about, and he wasn't able to make this last event, and that like feel bad for him. Man, dude, Brandon from y'all's team, Titans. You know, I don't want to put his business out there, but shout out to him, man. Like I know he's not doing the best. If you know the kid I'm talking about, like reach out to him. That dude, he's been grinding all the time. Putting in the work, trying to just drill, get better and better and better. You know, uh, like to me, it really comes down to like the guys that are there when nobody else is there, and it's just you. The people that are consistently showing up when it's not cool to show up, the people that are showing up, getting their ass kicked at drills and still showing back up. Um, it's probably the dudes that I don't even know. Like those are the people that I mean, people might even call them tryhards, but the people that are pursuing their dreams when nobody else is looking. Um, you know, I don't even know who they are, and that's kind of the cool part is people are working in the backgrounds and doing what they can, man. But shout out to Project also. Obviously, everybody knows
Mhm.
Project, but local brand, man, those guys have done well. I won this hat at the SAT 3v3, and obviously Ryan and Archie are teammates and coach now, so you got to give them a shout out. Um, Man, there's too many to shout out, man. There's too many to shout out.
Yeah, lots of people working really hard, and that's
Yeah,
that's what's great about the Texas scene. There's a lot of people expanding the boundaries on a lot of different fronts.
yeah,
Even even not like outside of the playing realm, like products, communities, tournament series. Uh,
mm,
even expanding like the media side.
yeah.
Um, we have I think I mentioned this on Clint Riddle's show. We have I think 5 different paintball podcasts out of Texas right now.
That's fantastic, though. Like the content is you know, it, dude. I don't listen to any of them live, but I always listen to every single one the following day. um and that content is so valuable because it's a connection beyond just, hey, you play paintball and I play paintball. It's also like a connection between life, and you see a lot of similarities, and hopefully you learn something. Hopefully you change somebody's mind, hopefully you gain a fan, and it doesn't have to be like, you know like I'm a fan of you as a professional player, but like that's a cool dude, man. I like that dude. I like him. You know what I mean? Like it's just real recognizing real. That's, I think, one of the beauties of what this show is. Shout out to you and in the pits. And also, man, congrats on being on the MLPB video YouTube channel. I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity to reach people that we wouldn't have. And it started local, right? It's in the pits. I mean, it's just cool, man. Pretty cool.
Appreciate it. We do have one final question from the chat here before we close it out from David. Yeah. So, what do pro teams that aren't going to start practicing 4 to 5 days a week or even every weekend need to do to beat fit? The answer to that is start booking earlier flights on Sunday because they ain't going to do it if they're not going to be putting in the more work.
So this is a weird thought, and it's not a great one, but it's a strategic idea. So the strategy, I think, if you're not going to practice more, is you keep a roster okay, but you use that Russian Legion model of just running your solid five. And the reason I say this is because if you are trying to, have like a gunfight between one guy who's played 10 points in their first match and another guy whose last team they played 10 points, but he only got 3 reps, 2 reps, that's a bad matchup. But right, like one guy's
Mm,
already warmed up, he's already got his shot dialed in, he's already, he knows his routes, he knows his adjustments, he's already warmed up. Um, Fit, they run their five, maybe six. And that's who you're fighting against. Um, and that's not to say that you shouldn't spin other people, but I think identifying those gunfights and where they are and how you're focused on winning a gunfight is that has to really be kind of focused on a little bit more. For instance, right, like some guy's job is to contain. Well, if somebody's always set up for you know a fill to happen and somebody to get shot because you've sent a guy up in the center, little things like that. You know you're kind of relying on somebody else to take a risk. And I don't think, as we starting to see, the meta is try to find all the bodies. If you don't know where the body is, probably somebody in the center, so don't make the move. Well, if nobody's moving, you're kind of relying on somebody to win a gunfight, and that's where the matchups happen. That's where that long range snapping of snake can a snake can. Those little things, I think, when you really start adding things together, I think they play a large role. You know, it's tough to preach that the same five should always play, And really, I think everybody needs to be playing at a level where you can mix people in and there's no
Mhm.
issues. Um, but man, like they're really, I mean, it's like one guy's cold and one guy's hot, you know. Outside of that, man, maybe go stand in the parking lot and shoot some paint over the net. You know, like I mean,
Man's calling in the mortars.
yeah, dude, like
Yeah, calling
I
Jeremy
I I,
Salm.
I
It's
dude, I
your
just
only
don't
chance.
like for what they're doing and how they're playing. You just you got to be better than them off break, or you have to be a better gunfighter than somebody else because it's coming to that point where people are okay with not moving for 10, 15 minutes if it means not losing the point, right? Like
Mhm.
as time goes on, that point becomes more important. So taking that risk becomes even greater. And it, you know, you're taught to not take gunfights. But if you can't shoot a guy, then what are you gonna do? You know, there just comes a point like it's paintball. You got to shoot somebody. That's that's how you get an elimination. Um, and that's where I think like those dudes are good at shooting people. I just maybe you got to be a little bit better.
All right. Well, there you go. Uh, yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see who ends up being the one to topple Fit. But
X
I
Factor.
think they. There we go. There we go. All right, Jared. So I think that does it for our time. Thank
Cool,
you so
man.
much. Do you have any final shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
Dude, thank you to Alex Martinez and Ryan Brand for, providing me an opportunity to join this program. Thank you to everybody on the roster, both current and former players, for building this legacy and giving all us guys something to strive for. Um, Shout out to Todd and Jeff at the field for just doing all the hard work, man. That you know goes unappreciated, man. I definitely appreciate that. Um, yeah, man, and shout out to all the moms and dads, dude. That's, I mean, instrumental in allowing us kids to reach this position. So shout out to everybody else.
For sure. All right. So I think that does it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to go follow Jared at the_essential_experiment on Instagram. What other guests would you like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live Wednesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Central here on youtube.com/at Major League Paintball. And recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. Want to give a quick shout out to my partner and sponsor tier subscribers on Patreon. Get That Shot, Paintball Community, BEM Raps, Hydra, XTPL events, Mariachi Aguilas de Oro, San Antonio 3v3 series, 71 Designs, Jared here, TexanHemp.com, QBRofficial.com, and of course, Splat Houston's the Splat Zone Trinity 3-man. So we will see you guys next week for episode 145. And yeah, we're the climb to episode 150, the climb to 3 years. So be on the lookout for some tidbits, some teasers on what we got planned for that. So we'll see y'all then. Jared, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.